Welcome, everyone, to the Pro Wrestling Report, live Monday night, May 4, 2009. Damian Nelson, the man they call Meathead, and Dave Hero. They're live as WWE Raw goes off the air. What a show. What a show we've got for you this week. Welcome to everyone listening at ESPNMilwaukee.com, obviously on 540 ESPN and at PWRshow.com. In just a few minutes, we're going to go to our special guest. Joining us live, Dawn Marie. Dawn Marie joining us here in just a few minutes on the Pro Wrestling Report. But before we get to that, let's talk about the Raw that we are watching go off the air right now as the Viper, which is a good name, sort of like Rattlesnake. But the Viper, oh, there's Batista. The Viper, Randy Orton, attacking Shane McMahon, similar to the way that The Undertaker and Kane attacked Vince McMahon back in 1998.
I got to allude down to the chat Osphere. Bookworm 316 says, Damian, you got to know this is the same spot 10 years ago when Undertaker and Kane did History O' Kane.
I said that right before we went out the air. And if he uses the stairs.
Yep.
And I remember JR about had a heart attack when they did it. And that put Vince in the wheelchair for almost a year. But this, obviously, Shane McMahon wrestling twice tonight on Raw. I guess there are no other qualified wrestlers who could be in the main event on Raw.
On TV at all. So let's put Shane McMahon on instead of some of the workers.
Repeatedly. But Raw tonight, Shane opens. He wrestles Orton in the opener. That, of course, is thwarted by disqualification, which then a series of matches throughout the course of the evening setting up this main event tonight. Cody Rhodes wrestling earlier in the evening, MVP in a non-title match, earning a spot in the main event. And then Ted DiBiase Jr. wrestling.
He doesn't go by Junior in WWE. There are no juniors.
Wrestling Batista, who was disqualified for not getting out of the corner and attacking Ted DiBiase. I mean, it's like when you see pinfalls by a sunset flip. How many times do you see a DQ because they are ignoring the referee's orders?
Dave, that's where you talk.
I guess not often.
No, not at all. I'm just watching this here, and I'm thinking, you know what? This is a nice way to take Shane off TV for a month or two.
Because we've seen enough of them over the last month or two.
And then bring them back for their big Extreme pay-per-view.
Extreme Rules that goes on sale this weekend.
Because he's more extreme than actual wrestlers.
Oh, yeah.
What took Batista so long? Everyone in the Chatmosphere and everyone's saying, Batista's going to come out and make the save. Batista's going to come out and make the save. Look at the Viper. Batista's going to come out and make the save. Well, he didn't quite make the save, but he did come out. Obviously, that heel turn still being talked about not only by him, but by the fans out in the Internet wrestling community as well. Fans also tonight on the Pro Wrestling Report. In addition to Dawn Marie, who will be joining us live in just a few minutes, we've got the news desk, VI3, Beat the Meat, including last week's winner. This week in history, we're going to go in-depth and talk about Bobby Lashley. Also, we've got discussion on WWE Smackdown with some comments from the forum at PWRshow.com and lots of buzz over last week's Smackdown on my network TV. And we're going to talk about the use of celebrities in professional wrestling as well. You can join the discussion by calling us at 276-ESPN, 276-ESPN, or all over the world at 1-800-990-ESPN, 1-800-990-3776. Meathead, what do the fans have to say in the Chatmosphere about Raw tonight overall?
The Chatosphere. Apparently, that stretcher's getting a workout because the stretcher's being used over and over now. Drunk Cena again tonight.
Come on now.
Drunk Cena.
Drunk Cena.
He's hurt, not drunk. He's on Vicodin.
He looks drunk. He looks
drunk. It's a gimmick, son.
It's not a gimmick. That's what they're talking about.
Well, let's take a look at what they had to say in the forum about Raw while we talk about what had to be two of the funniest things we've seen in a long while, or a little while. Festus in a sing-off with Jillian, and Santino Marella, not Santina, Santino Marella alleging that Santina has the swine flu.
Yeah, and got it from Vicky. I got to break it down for you again.
Break it down.
Santino telling Kelly, you're going to enjoy my sister as a partner. And Kelly's sick tonight because, when Vicky breathed on my sister, it gave her the swine flu.
What's he implying?
She's a pig.
Or is he making fun of her because she's a Latina?
No.
That would have been better, I think.
No.
Swine flu, the epidemic that's killed no one, but the real flu, the epidemic that's killed 19,000 people so far this year. We're going to take a timeout. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
For the latest interviews, blogs, contests, and more, log on today to the all-new ESPNMilwaukee.com.
This is the Miller High Life Delivery Guy, and you listen to Good Honest Sports Talk on 540 ESPN.
Oh, baby, have you seen any tonight? Is
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Damian Nelson, the man they call Meathead, and David Hero here live, Monday, May 4th, 2009. Thank you for joining us at PWRshow.com if you're streaming us live as well. Is that Brittany?
Damian, you know you picked this song. Don't even try to tell, hey, is that or that? You know you're a mark for this kind of music. You're a Backstreet Boys mark, and you're a mark for that other stuff.
We've got a special guest with us now live. Let's go now to Dawn Marie. Dawn Marie, welcome to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, we're excited to have you on. It's a great night here in Milwaukee. The weather's finally broken, so we're glad to have spring in the air, and glad to have you on. Thank you for joining us here live Monday night, May 4th. And Dawn Marie, let's refresh the fans' memory. What have you been up to nowadays since your the last time we saw you in WWE, I think was 2005. We'll talk more about that in just a little while, but what you been up to?
Well, I'll tell you, since I left, I had a little boy, which you can probably hear him in the back.
That's okay. We might have to get him on the show, too, but it's okay.
He's making his debut tonight.
Shouldn't he be in bed?
He should be in bed. I'll tell you, but I got so caught up, I didn't even realize what time it was. I was doing some work, and, you know, I feel like a bad mom. It's like 11 o'clock here in Jersey. No, I do. It's like 11 o'clock here in Jersey. But what happens is if I put my son to bed like a normal time, like a normal parent does, he's up at 5 in the morning, and I don't do 5 in the morning.
And how old's your boy?
He's 3.5.
Okay, see, yeah, you can't put him to bed at a normal time because you're right. He'll be up in the middle of the morning. So maybe you hold him out, keep him awake, you know, kind of poke at him, do whatever you got to do. Then you let him go to sleep.
Well, he won't go to bed. Even if I put him in his room, he ain't going to go to bed anyway. So.
Children's NyQuil.
Oh,
that's Dave Hero, by the way, folks. David's Hero.
Just kidding. Hey, Don, how are you?
Good.
Dawn, let's talk about your career, and let's start, obviously, with where we all got to know you very well, and that is in ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, not the watered-down version now, but the original ECW. You came in early in the days of ECW, was there all the way to the end. Tell us what you miss about ECW, and then we'll talk a little bit about the downfall of ECW in 2001.
Well, you know, I just miss the challenge. You know, I'll be really honest with you. Just the challenge of being fresh and new in the industry and, you know, just being challenged with where's my career going to go and just the not knowing. You know, so I used to say all the time to people, getting there was way more fun than being there.
Yeah.
You know, just a challenge and, you know, the working harder and harder and harder. Not saying that you don't work hard once you know, get to the big game, but it's a different kind of work. It's not that challenging yourself, what am I doing wrong? And, you know, just how can I be, you know, better and better? And it's just a different way of looking at it. And I think when you get to the big game, you are like honing your craft to its, you know, perfection. And I mean, you're still learning and how do I make myself better, but it's just different. It's you're already there. You're not working to get there. You're working to stay there. Mm-hmm. So it's like a whole different ball game. So that's probably like the biggest thing I miss there.
And you did just about everything with ECW. You did commentating. You obviously were in the ring often. You did ballet, managerial stuff. I mean, you really ran the gambit of doing everything that could be done in that company. But then we saw the company declare bankruptcy in 2001 and obviously fold after that, then picked up basically by WWE. What, from your perspective, Dawn Marie, what led to ECW going out of business?
You know, I wasn't in the office, so I don't know the particulars. I mean, you read and hear so many stories, and I think one of the biggest problems we may have had, and I may be wrong, okay, this is my opinion, we might have grown too quick. Mm-hmm. There's a huge expense with putting a company out on the road.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we grew so quickly. And we went national, and then we went from one show a week to 3 shows a week. And, you know, Paul had to pay people a lot more money to stay because we were on TV. And then WCW was still around, and WWE, well, obviously they'll always be around. But, like, they started stealing talent. Not stealing talent, they started offering our talent jobs. I mean, yeah. I hate using the word stealing. They offered our talent jobs. And we couldn't keep up with that payroll.
Right.
You know, to keep people.
And is that really
WCW was handing out money hand over fist?
And is that really what happened? I mean, as far as, again, there was talk, and we weren't there, but there was talk that sometimes paychecks weren't making their way to the talent that were supposed to be paid. Sometimes that the office may not have been paying the talent to do some of the shows that they were supposed to be doing.
Well, I don't think that was why it closed.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I mean, that was definitely a product of maybe the beginning of the destruction of the company, because what I feel was happening was, X, Y, and Z got offered at WCW, right? And, Talent X got a job offered WCW for a ridiculous amount of money because they had ridiculous amounts of money.
Yeah.
So Paul would say, listen, don't leave, I'm going to give you this. And in his heart and in his dreams and all his wants, he really felt he could pay that person. I don't believe that Paul's this horrible, evil, nasty person that people perceive him to be. He's really not. I believe in his heart he really had these dreams and aspirations for the company to grow so big that he could actually keep up with that payroll.
And as you said, we've heard many a time from many a person who was deeply involved in ECW that it was growth too fast. And just like any other business, sometimes the money's not coming in fast enough to get out to pay the bills. And that is the consensus, basically, as to what happened with ECW. The business was growing. The business was strong. The talent was strong. And it just got to a point where the business couldn't support the growth. And, there is that claim of growing too fast. We speculated that, how TNA was doing things differently because we see, obviously, TNA learned from ECW. TNA has been doing a slow growth, and they've not put themselves in the same situation, but they also have a big financial backer.
Well, I agree with you, and I have to disagree with you, okay? TNA is in competition with Vince. There is a huge gap between what Vince McMahon is and where TNA is. No disrespect to TNA. I think they're doing a wonderful, great job, and they're growing at a great speed, and they're very consistent. And I don't mean anything bad again, but there's a huge gap.
You're right. You're right.
Now, when ECW was around, we had Vince, we had WCW, which had, even though they were the number 2 company, they had ridiculous amounts of money and using it.
Yeah.
Okay, where Vince was more conservative with his money because he didn't have to buy talent. He had tons of talent that was like the machine was just producing left and right. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then you have ECW, which was that huge gap between WCW and ECW. They're, very similar to where, like, the gap between WWE and TNA. It was a huge gap between the two companies. Mm-hmm. So if these other companies, we had to compete with 2 other companies plucking from us and offering money to this talent, which they absolutely deserved, and they had families to worry about. They're not worried about companies. They have to take care of their family. We used to say, no, don't give it to me.
Yeah, I don't think there was ever, maybe some fans would, but at least in our minds, there was never any animosity towards any worker that would want to take the money. It's about a job. Just like we don't ever, argue here at the station about anybody that signs a $100 million deal. You know what? If somebody's going to offer you that, you take it and you take care of your family.
Exactly. And that was that's one of my biggest gripes, and I've probably gotten to more arguments in locker rooms over that whole issue when I was at WWE, like when the divas started getting their jobs, and then the boys would give them a hard time because, they never paid their dues, and they're making more money than this person, and many of them were making more money than me, and I was in the business X amount of years. Why would I take it out on the talent? It's not their fault.
Right.
What are they supposed to say? Oh, no, don't give me a job. I have no idea what wrestling's about. Come on, let's be realistic.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. So, but in our industry, it's a lot easier to be mad at the individual, the talent, which can't fight back, than being mad at the person that's actually giving it to them.
Oh, yeah, it's a cop-out because a lot of people don't have the guts to walk up to, talk to the person actually making that decision. They'd rather take – I liken it to Jerry Springer. It's like when there's somebody cheating on somebody else, and then the girl comes out and she attacks the other girl who didn't know that she was with another guy. But it's not her fault.
Gets away with it.
Yeah, it's not her fault. But,
no.
Dawn, you talked about WWE. Let's move on to your days in World Wrestling Entertainment, and obviously a bit of controversy when you departed the company. But how did you make that decision, and how did it happen where you were brought into World Wrestling Entertainment in 2003, I believe?
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. when I got released from ECW, not released, when the company went down, when I went under ECW, and, I was out of work for almost, I think, a year and a half, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, you had your Trish Stratus's, your Litas, you had your, Victoria, you had girls that were wrestling and working their asses off, So I didn't know how to wrestle. I knew how to take a bump, maybe. I knew how to take a bump if a guy gave it to me.
Yeah.
Did I go in the ring and have a match with someone and look good? No. I love these girls that say, I could do anything. And I go, well, what do you mean anything? And it's basically every move a guy's going to give you.
Yeah.
You're not doing it. They're doing it to you. You're just being a body. And a lot of girls don't get that idea.
Mm-hmm.
And that was me. That was me at ECW. So what I had to do was really look at the industry and where it was going and be honest and put my hard work in. I had to learn how to wrestle. And I had to learn how to wrestle quick because my bank account was dwindling real quick. Even though Paul, I have to be honest with you, Paul took very good care of me financially, very good care of me. And, Paul has always been wonderful to me. And I can't say anything bad about that.
Who trained you? Where'd you get your training?
I was with Simon Diamond for 7 years. Him and I were together for 7 years. And so we started going to a local school near my house, but it wasn't really working for me there.
Yeah.
So then I went up to Mikey Whipwreck's school, which was an hour and a half away. I live in Long Island. I live in New Jersey. And Simon and I would get in the car. We'd drive up to Long Island, work our butts off. Well, I would work my butt off. He would just beat me. And I would work with Mikey's students, and I was trained by Simon and Mikey. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we would do that maybe once or twice a week, sometimes more, and come home and, kind of recoup as much as I can and go on. See, people don't realize I got my break later in life. Okay? I was, I'm 38 now. I'll be 39 in a few months.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I'm not saying there is anything wrong with it. But what I'm saying is to learn how to wrestle. I'm older, and I was first learning how to wrestle. I was already in the industry 7 years before I learned how to wrestle.
Yeah.
Okay? So, but I had to do it. Mm-hmm. And I learned enough to get my job at WWE, and then they taught me the remainder of what I needed to know.
Now, Don, I remember when you first came back in and one of your first matches was a house show in Milwaukee, and they had you paired up with Gail Kim quite a bit.
Well, no, that wasn't my first shows.
No?
I was there for quite a while before Gail Kim came in.
Okay. Wow.
I don't know, maybe my first show my first show ever was in Toronto. It was in Calgary.
Okay.
But I did, when Gail came in, I was already there for a while. And I did work Gail when she first came in.
That's probably what it was, right.
Yeah. I worked a lot with Gail when she first came in. They tended to do that a lot when new girls came in. I would work them a lot on the on the house show circuit, which was, it's a compliment to, put your new talent with me. And, it makes me feel like, maybe you think I could protect them. I'm not going to hurt them. I'm going to do my best to make them feel comfortable and do what we have to do. So I took it as a compliment. I mean, I don't know if they meant it that way, but that's what I took it. And I tried my hardest to help everyone and work for the match and make it all successful. And I think that was, I'm proud of that.
When you saw the booking sheet and you see you were paired up with somebody, who would you always look forward to getting in the ring with?
Oh, most of my career was with Tori over there. That was like my biggest program was with Tori Wilson. When I was on SmackDown, there weren't that many girls. It was me, Nydia, Tori, Gail for a very short time. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, we had some of the Diva girls there. When the Diva Search girls started coming in. But, I had great fun working with Tori. I mean, it was always challenging because we were both learning so much at the same time. And, I have to say I really enjoyed my time in the ring with Jackie. Jackie's one of my very best friends. And when we started that program with Charlie And I've known Charlie. I remember Charlie meeting him on his in the Indies. I think it was JPW or something like that in Jersey City or Bayonne. Him and his brother coming in, breaking in the business. That's when I met when they first started. So to be able to be at, the big game with my best friend and someone that I've been friends with since they first started was awesome. It was like almost like a full cycle, and it was cool. And I enjoyed my work with Jackie because I felt like we grew a lot. We felt real comfortable and we trusted our own instincts, and we worked real hard on our instincts when we worked together rather than the moves. We really concentrated on listening and working on our instincts when we were working together.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Dawn Marie is our guest. Dawn, let's talk about the controversy surrounding your departure from WWE. Obviously, a lot of news stories out there about the fact that you were released while pregnant after ECW's one-night stand back in 2005. What can you tell us about that?
It's just a time in our lives that, it happened. I was released, probably the most opportune time, but we've moved forward, and WWE is working very closely with me with Wrestlers Rescue, and whether or not that was the reason or not, I have no idea. Yeah. I just know that, I did get fired during the time I was pregnant. Whether or not that was the reason, who knows. But regardless, that's in the past, and we've moved forward, and we're working towards better goals and more productive goals.
Yeah.
And we're working on Wrestlers Rescue, and what we're doing is trying to make a better quality life for our veterans and our individuals and our retirees, and that's what's important.
Yeah, and we were I was gonna ask you actually about how what you thought of the movie The Wrestler and kind of lead into Wrestlers Rescue. A lot of people say that The Wrestler really kind of shined not a negative light on it, but actually I thought it shined a very realistic light on it because these guys, a lot of them aren't being taken care of.
I think it did both. Different issues were handled in different ways. And, we do realize it's Hollywood, so you have to make it a little over the top. I think there's an absolute disconnection with family unit and children's and lives, and there is that whole process of that, when he had with his daughter, the disconnection and how she's angry that he was never there. And that is definitely a prominent situation that happens in our lives because we're on the road so much. You miss things. You miss parties. You miss bar mitzvahs. You miss weddings and christenings. And
you miss life.
You miss your family life.
Yeah.
Yes. And
well, as you said, when talking about the first days in ECW, it's very sexy and attractive before you get into it, and then once you get into it, it can be a bit of a challenge.
It's very challenging because you have this desire and need to be what you are, but at the same time, it's only human nature to have this connection with your family, and you're always torn. You're never happy. I think that no one's ever fully happy, and it's sad because when you're wrestling, you're missing that family unit, and it makes you sad. And then when you're not wrestling and you're 1,000% with your family, you feel guilt and sadness because you're still not that other person that you love to be. There's always some sort of sadness. Does that make any sense?
No, absolutely. Makes total sense.
So, I love my son. My son's 3.5 years old. I'm pregnant. I'm having a baby in 2 weeks. And I love my family. I have a wonderful life. My husband works very hard, and we have a wonderful life. And I'm able to spend so much time on Wrestlers Rescue because he works so hard. Okay? But at the same time, I would be lying to you if I said deep in my heart, I'm not missing the business. I'm not missing doing that. I'm not missing being Dawn Marie. Here I'm Mom and Dawn, and it's wonderful, but it's a disconnect. I'm disconnected from a very huge part of my life.
Yeah.
Now, when I was with WWE, there was a huge. I was very saddened and very confused, and I was getting older. I was 34, turning 35, and I didn't want to lose that opportunity of having a family. And I mean, I even went as far as looking at surrogate mothers because I didn't want to lose that opportunity of having a child. So, when I was there towards the end, I was very saddened too. Mm-hmm. So it's like you have this thing. So that's why I love my work with Wrestlers Rescue, because I am so active in our community, but it's behind the scenes, and it's at my leisure and when it fits into my family. And it's a really nice mix.
Speaking of fitting in now, when they asked a bunch of the divas to join in at WrestleMania 25 for the Diva Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal, whatever they called it, did they contact you? Was that something that you were thinking about maybe coming out, maybe being on the side, coming out and hanging out?
She just said she's pregnant.
I understand she's pregnant. That doesn't mean you can't walk down in the ring.
He just woke up. Sorry.
No, don't. Go ahead, Don.
Well, now, here's the question. Now, the new ECW. Obviously, you're one of the ECW originals, the WWE incarnate of ECW. If you had to summarize it in one sentence, what would that be?
The new one?
Yeah.
I'm asked that question almost every interview, and I'm going to give you the same answer. I think that the guys and gals that are there are working their butts off to make a great product. I think that, yes, it is a WWE product, just like SmackDown and Raw. I think that it is a third brand to the WWE product. Mm-hmm. Why are people wasting their time worrying about, is it like the old one?
Exactly, yeah.
Just watch it, enjoy it, watch the work that these guys are doing, and I mean girls too, and enjoy it for what it is. Stop comparing to what it is. I like to relate it to like bands. Say Kiss. Everyone knows who Kiss is, right?
Yeah.
So Kiss was one of the greatest acts in the world. Not the greatest singer, greatest act in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows Kiss. Even if you don't like the music, you know who Kiss is,
right?
Even
if you didn't watch the Gene Simmons show on A&E.
Exactly. It's like Hulk Hogan. You don't even watch wrestling, you know who Hulk Hogan is. That's what Kiss is, okay? Now, when they broke up and they came back without the makeup, everyone's like, why'd they call it Kiss? It's not the same. Well, hell no, it's not the same. They're 60 years old and they're not wearing their makeup.
Yeah.
Okay? Why compare it? Just enjoy them for what they are now.
Dawn Marie, here's the difference, though, with the ECW. When WWE first brought it back, they brought it back claiming it was a reincarnation of ECW. Now, they've gone away from that, and I think the comparisons now are certainly not to be made. But when they first launched it, it was supposed to be this extreme brand. They tried to pay homage to the old ECW.
They tried with the barbed wire.
And walked away from it very quickly after that. So I think that's where some of the expectations came from the fans. But again, that was a couple of years ago now. They clearly have gone in a different direction.
Well, I'm going to use I'm going to say the same thing again. Four Horsemen, one of the greatest teams ever formed in the industry. Okay, when they reformed it, and it wasn't the same four people or five people, right?
Yeah, well,
four. It wasn't them.
Ago. Yeah.
Okay, when it wasn't them and there was a different person in it, was it really the Four Horsemen anymore?
No. Yeah, like when they had Mongo and Dean Malenko. Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah. They put Luger in the Four Horsemen once?
You can call it anything you want, but you can never create something. Wrestling is a fluke. It's like a freak of nature. Wrestling is something that it happens by accident if it's this huge, iconic situation.
Right.
Four Horsemen, huge, iconic situation. Everyone will know him for the rest of whatever. Wrestling's around.
Okay.
It was a mistake. It was a mistake, but they happened to put these people together. Hey, let's try this. It was unbelievable success. Mm-hmm. Okay? Same thing. ECW. Paul had a vision. He put these people together. It worked out. Everyone worked hard. It was a new breed of wrestling. It was an alternative brand of wrestling versus, WWE and WCW at the time, WWF, whatever. And it was the new breed, okay? It died. It was over.
Yeah.
You can't recreate that. It was the atmosphere.
Yeah.
It was the hunger. It was the hunger of the talent that made it an alternative brand. What am I going to do to make it different? I have to prove myself. I want to get to the big game. Mm-hmm. Now, the new brand of ECW is the big game.
Right.
You're not hungry anymore. All you're worried about is keeping your damn job.
Yeah. That's an excellent point, Dawn Marie. Excellent point.
I mean, this is my opinion.
Excellent point. And we've got a lot of feedback from the chatmosphere here at pwrshow.com, our live chat, and the fans are agreeing with you wholeheartedly. One saying, thank you, Dawn, thank you, Dawn, thank you, Dawn. Another saying, Dawn just nailed it about ECW, thank you. And so lots of people seeing it the way you see it as well. Now, what we'd like to do in closing, Dawn, is play a little game called Word Association. I name a name, place, or event, and you tell me the first thing that pops into your head.
Okay.
We're going to start with Paul Heyman.
Genius.
Vince McMahon.
I can't do that in one word. I can't, and I don't mean it in a bad way.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the world of him. The one thing I always say about Vince McMahon is this: how can you not have respect for a man that runs a multi-billion-dollar company, runs it every day?
Yeah.
And I was not the top talent. I can knock on his door at any show at any given time and have a 5-minute meeting with him. How many owners of a multi-billion-dollar company can their employees do that?
Not many.
Okay, I have respect for that. He might not give me a half hour. He might not give me an hour like he's going to give, John Cena.
Sure.
Don't give me 5 or 10 minutes. Listen to what I have to say and say, either give me an answer, send me in the right direction, or say, and he's done this, Dawn, call my office, set up an appointment, either come in and talk to me or we'll talk it over the phone. I have respect for that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Regardless of the timeliness of, or untimeliness of my departure, I can't take that away from him.
Right.
He has never asked anyone to do anything that he hasn't done himself or someone in his family has done.
He's got respect.
So I can't answer that in one question.
Okay.
All right, Don, how about Dr. Death Steve Williams?
I never had the pleasure of meeting him before. I've met him quickly. Hello, I'm Dawn. Nice to meet you. He probably doesn't even remember that. But can I tell you, I have been doing this campaign with Dr. Death, and every single person I talk to, they gush about him. Gush. In wrestling, you have people say, oh, yeah, he's a nice guy. Or you have people say, yeah, he's all right. You never have everyone love you. I've never met in 13 years a single individual in our industry that people gush about the second his name comes up. It's amazing. Amazing. So I have to say he's probably I feel like I know him personally, through what everyone talks about. But he has to be the kindest, most unbelievable person that's ever entered our industry.
President Obama.
Okay, let me think.
Long pause.
No, because there's a lot of things. I mean, what do I want to say? I want to say that he is someone that has a vision, and he's strong-minded, and he's going to do everything in his will in his power to change the world in a positive way, what he thinks is a positive way. I don't think he's worried about politics as much as changing the world in a positive way, and he's going to do it his way.
Joey Styles.
He's a nice person. He's a nice person and very smart to business.
Las Vegas, Nevada.
Las Vegas, Nevada?
Yeah.
What do you know?
I know from being there so many times what happens there certainly doesn't stay there.
Yes, it does.
You got married there. I think I saw that somewhere.
Yeah, I did. I actually, my husband and I, instead of spending, $30,000-$40,000 on a wedding, we took a whole poop load of money and just went there and had a great time. And
that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
Meathead just got engaged recently, so he's looking at the bills come in for his wedding plans. But yeah, Vegas, but my favorite city in the world. So I was happy to see that.
Cost me $2,500. I have everything a regular wedding would have had: limos, flowers, video, pictures.
Can I give you our home phone number? Can you talk to her, please?
It still cost me $20,000.
I'm willing to put $30,000 on it. I just it'll be one and done.
But it had a great time doing it, rather than sitting there talking to people I haven't seen in years and I could care less to see them again. And I did it for a week and a half.
Oh, that sounds great.
Well, Dawn Marie, I believe there's a website for Wrestlers Rescue.
We're wrestlersrescue.org. Come visit us. We have a great campaign right now going on for Dr. Death. We're raising $20,000 for a hands-free device. He had a fight with cancer, and he's a cancer survivor, and it's just going to make a better quality of life for him, healthier quality of life for him and his family. We're also raffling off JR's cowboy hat autograph.
Well, I'm betting on that one.
$3 a raffle ticket. You can't go wrong. And we're only going to sell between 1,000 and 1,600 tickets. That's it. So you have a really great chance of winning. You go on our website, you can buy, it's $3 a ticket or 4 for $10. It goes 100% to Dr. Death. Our foundation is ran 100% volunteers. No one makes any money, so your money is going to run the company or to a campaign. And we have unbelievable memorabilia that's in our stockroom. We auction off one new item every week for Dr. Death.
Great.
You have to come there. If you're a wrestling fan, you have to go there and see what's being auctioned off. We have stuff that no one will ever get.
And we'll go ahead and put a link up on the Pro Wrestling Report website as well, so the fans listening live at pwrshow.com can head on over to that site as well and bid on items as they choose. Dawn Marie, it's been a pleasure and a treat to speak to you this evening. We appreciate you spending a little time late in the evening on a Monday to be on the Pro Wrestling Report here on 540 ESPN. Best of luck to you and all of your future endeavors, especially with Wrestlers Rescue, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Damian Nelson, the man they call Meathead, and Dave Hero. I can listen to that song all day long. That's the only problem with Beer Money is that we don't get to hear James Storm's music anymore.
Yeah, because it's a remix now.
No, not anymore. Well, it's remix less now because it used to start
Money on my beer, beer on my money, or something like that.
Again, this is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. Thank you for joining us. We are live Monday night, May 4th. Dawn Marie had a lot to say about ECW, WWE, and obviously that website, again, is wrestlerrescue.org. I just bid on, just bought 4 raffle tickets for JR's hat, and I ain't kidding you.
And, I got to throw out, I have to throw out to the Chatosphere again. It was so good that I'm going to throw it out there. I'm just looking it up right here. He should sign it, as he says, everything 3 times, and that was, oh, man, the screen just moved. Hold on.
Well, what they've been asking for all night is for me to remind the viewers all over the world, the listeners,
Mr. Breakstone,
what WCW is.
Stop. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
They've been asking all night. WCW is a defunct wrestling organization purchased by World Wrestling Entertainment in 2001.
Which means nothing to what I was just talking about. Mr. Breakstone said that if Damian gets the hat, JR should sign it for him 3 times.
JR!
Exactly. That's my gimmick, Sean.
Again, that website is wrestlerrescue.org. You can link to it in the link section of pwrshow.com as well. And go ahead and head on over. Raffle tickets are not expensive at all. They're only $3 a pop, so go on over and support. We'd like to thank Dawn Marie for spending time with us. Let's go now to the PWR phone lines, which you can be a part of. The number 276-ESPN. Again, that's 276-ESPN here in southeastern Wisconsin or all over the world at 1-800-990-ESPN, 1-800-990-ESPN. We're going to take Steve from Heartland. You're live on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Evening, Steve.
What a glorious day. We got Christian as ECW champion, William Regal getting some exposure, finally.
You're a big Regal guy?
Oh, yeah. I call in usually every other week or so about William Regal. I'm a big fan of his.
Okay. The last time I saw Regal in anything prominent was when he was the general manager and King of the Ring, and he turned off the lights.
Down the lights.
Whenever he chose.
I know, and more than likely he'll go in this program with MVP maybe at Judgment Day and probably lose. But I think if they're smart, they take the title off of MVP and put him in the main event coming next month.
Well, as Dave Hero's about to tell you, they don't know what the hell they're doing with MVP. Go ahead, Dave.
You put him on The View. He'll be on The View tomorrow. He was on The View last week.
Yeah.
Because, wrestling fans, of which it's primarily a male demographic, watch The View.
Oh, of course.
All the time. I DVR it.
They give him lots of network love.
We may have to take you off the air and put you on the ban list.
Dragon, being sarcastic. Okay.
I know. Dragon, mark his name. He likes The View. Just kidding.
I'm thoroughly happy that he's even if he ends up losing, I'm glad he's back on TV. It's been well over a month and a half since he's been on TV. Pretty happy about that.
He's a man.
That was awesome. I love that song. Anyway, happy about that. Happy about Matt Hardy getting some exposure, even though he lost tonight. I like the
You mean Cowboy Bob Orton?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's pretty well. Did Orton protest under wrestling, his matches.
But, Damien, remember, wrestling fans don't remember
that.
past 3 months or 3 years, whichever one it is.
WWE doesn't remember the last 3 months either. So they tend to forget a lot of things. But happy about that.
What is making you mad? What is making you mad in wrestling right now? Because you seem pretty happy, and we want to know both sides.
I'm happy Christian's got it. I'll tell you what's making me mad. Some of the undercards. Paul Burchill. Love Paul Burchill. Great wrestler, and he's getting just put down. I mean, they had a rematch on Superstars, and I was thinking, okay, maybe they'll have him go over here. No. He's a waste. They're wasting his
talent.
He is incredible. His finishing move when he was the Pirate was just awesome. Or the Ripper in OVW. I mean, awesome. And that's upsetting me a little bit. I'll switch directions in TNA real quick. I am I was kind of impressed that TNA decided to go with the having Daniels, as they call him, out and kind of go with all the marks on it to say, hey, we know you're suicide. Yeah.
The best part about that promo, though, it was when Saban handed on the mic and hit him.
And he said, no.
Kelly said, he's already got a mic. I know. I just wanted to hit him. I thought for sure that would be edited out. But it's perfect machine gun.
That was good. That was very funny. I like that. I kind of like that they're – because, let's face it, most of the people that do watch TNA are marks. Most of them.
Oh, boy. Have you seen our episode defining the definition of mark yet? I believe.
No, I saw that. I went to a couple hours ago. I went to that, and I hadn't watched it because I was watching Raw, but I did see that. I do have to watch that or listen to it.
Because, truthfully, all of us are marks. If you really, really buy
Well, if you're calling into a wrestling show, I guess you are a mark, right?
Well, Steve, thank you so much for calling in to the Pro Wrestling Report here on 540 ESPN. And Dave Hero has one thing for you.
Watching the machine guns, they remind me of Edge and Christian.
Yeah. 5-second pose, though.
Well, no, but all the banter with Mick Foley back when he was commissioner. And
the only thing that bothers me about Saban is what's up with the hair.
Why does it bother you?
It bothers me. I'm sitting there watching a promo. I mean, it's amusing, and then I see his hair is all mopped over to one side.
Well,
it's weird.
That's what those young kids do nowadays.
No, nobody does that.
You're old.
I'm not old.
You're old.
I'm not old.
I was talking to someone the other day about favorite candy bars, and the candy bar whatchamacallit came up.
Yeah.
And she said she didn't know what that was. I'm like, don't you dare sit there and say that. I am not old. It is still on store shelf.
And there's another one
prominent
underneath.
Is
I know what a
thingamajig
thingamajig
is. There's a thingamajig also.
Is it better than the whatchamacallit?
It's real similar.
I remember when the candy bar, $100,000 candy bar, said 100,000
grand.
But now it just says 100 grand.
Oh, yeah, it says on ink.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. We've got a couple more callers on the line. We'll take them when we come back from Sports Center, but you can join us on the phone lines by calling 276-ESPN. Again, that's 276-ESPN, or 1-800-990-ESPN, 1-800-990-3776. And we are also live at pwrshow.com, where we've got some comments blowing up in the chat-mosphere.
Chat-osphere.
And One Man Dynasty says Motor City machine guns are good, but they can't sell. That's the only thing.
Sell what? Are we talking about, and we'll make this quick, are they talking about selling wrestling moves or selling merch?
Twisted agrees that the best candy bar ever is the whatchamacallit. And Aaron58 says, good call in from Steve in Heartland. Regal is one of the most underrated wrestlers in the business. And we'll answer the question from Triple G here in just a little while. It says, any thoughts on Superstars? Is it on the right track? That's WWE's new television program. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
540 ESPN. For over 10 years, the world's #1 source for professional wrestling news and information. And once again, here's your hosts, Damian Nelson, Frank Cosentino, and the man they call Meathead. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Welcome to Hour 2 of the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. Damian Nelson, the man they call Meathead, and Dave Hero here live Monday night, May 4th. Frank Cos, we don't even know where the Cos is. We haven't seen the Cos in about 3 weeks.
I do know where he is, and I know that there's a local show. I'm not going to say who or where, but he's training. He's training.
Yeah, I don't. Michael Cole moves slower than him.
You know what?
When a wrestler comes near him.
Damian goes off. He goes to Atlanta, Las Vegas, Orlando.
Atlanta. He's living a life.
Frank goes away. It's Cudahy.
You know, I had a girl once that told her to kiss her someplace smelly.
Let's go to the news desk before we take our couple phone calls. Thank you, Meathead. Necro Butcher has been nominated for an award on the MTV Music Awards for his role in the movie The Wrestler. That award is for the WTF moment. Not to be confused with the FTW title, formerly of ECW. Bret Hart is going to make an appearance at a Ring of Honor show in Toronto on July 24th, Meathead's birthday. For those of you that don't know, Ric Flair is also working for Ring of Honor.
But not on July 24th.
Not in Toronto, Ontario.
Because there would be
Canada.
There'd be issues.
Yeah. Roxy Laveau has been granted her release from TNA, which she requested after being suspended due to an altercation with Raka Khan.
She wasn't released. She was fired.
Fire me. I'm already fired.
She was fired.
After being suspended for 60 days, they did come to an agreement that she would no longer be with the company.
But Kurt Angle's girlfriend is still there.
But who are you going to pick? Literally,
that's funny that you keep saying girlfriend. Yeah.
If you got two people, Raka Khan and Roxy Laveau, and you got a choice, they're sitting in front of you. Somebody's leaving. Who's it going to be? Dave.
You get rid of the one that can't wrestle.
And that is?
Raka Khan.
Meathead.
Okay. Now, we've heard rumors that it's because the two are working stiff with each other, right?
No, that wasn't the question.
Out of the two, which one of those two you think are going to be stiffer than the other? I'm getting rid of Raka Khan because I think she's stiff with everybody.
Jamba Chip says in the Champosphere at PWRshow.com, to find Scott Hall, you must find the cause. Chris 910 says Cos is in the pit of danger. Continuing on the news desk, there is said to be interest by TNA and Lance Cade. Lance Cade, who had been trained by Shawn Michaels, obviously a good worker, released by WWE. May be coming into TNA soon. He's released a statement as it pertains to that, which you can find in the revised news section of PWRshow.com.
I've always thought Lance Cade had a good look. I think he has a look.
Sure.
A decent-sized guy, decent-looking face.
You can say he's handsome.
I'm not going to say he's handsome. I don't want to take your gimmick.
I thought that was my gimmick.
What?
My gimmick is calling someone handsome?
I don't know.
Hernandez has suffered a neck injury. Potentially going to be out for 6 to 9 months, which is extremely troubling since we recently obviously had Hernandez on PWR Radio last Monday night and on PWR TV last week.
Blame you.
And we spoke to him specifically, about injuries and whether or not
he was saving you.
He was worried about injuries. At that point, I believe he was injured. And I mean, we had a conversation for several minutes before and after the interview. It never came up, so I was a little surprised that it wasn't mentioned during the course of the interview. But be that as it may, obviously we wish Hernandez the best. And we'll try to get a hold of him and have him back on to talk to us a little bit about that injury. Speaking of surgeries and injuries, The Undertaker may need hip and knee surgery. It's unknown the seriousness of the injury, but obviously The Undertaker has not been seen much since WrestleMania.
He's got a great schedule.
He does.
He really does.
He does. You rarely see him, but when you do, it's not like you miss him or anything like that. He's there when you need him. Batista was in the corner of Manny Pacquiao at the fight this weekend. He has also told the world, Batista, that he is considering retirement.
He's also in the pit of danger, I believe.
When his contract expires in the next 12 months with World Wrestling Entertainment.
He's made a lot of money, too.
Batista?
Oh, yeah. Tons.
Do you think he's been smart with it?
Of course.
Good.
Yeah. Let's go to the ratings for last week. WWE Raw gets a 3.4, TNA Impact a 1.2, SmackDown a 2.0, ECW 1.17, and a Superstars at a 0.9. WWE has canceled its Mexico tour due to the swine flu outbreak. That was scheduled for later this month.
Why would Mexico? I got to ask you, why would Mexico cancel it? Is there talk that it came from Mexico?
WWE canceled the tour.
The swine flu
originated in Mexico.
Really?
You don't watch the news?
What's the news?
Wolf Blitzer. ECW moves to its new time slot tomorrow. Oh. Somebody get this knife out of my chest.
Oh, Dragon, you missed the shot of all shots right there.
God.
That one went for defense. That's better than Ricky Weeks hitting the homer.
You have not seen the list. the list of unmentionable names on this program, of which his is on.
Glenn Beck, is he on there too?
Apparently,
I'm off the project.
Apparently, our producer is asleep at the wheel because that was a shot. Dave Hero, radio high five.
ECW moves to its new time slot of 10 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. And our condolences go out to the family of Playboy Buddy Rose, who passed away due to natural causes last week. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's take Elliot from New York. Elliot, you are live on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Hey, guys.
Hey, what's up, Elliot?
What's going on?
Hey, some we're excited.
We're finer than frog hair split 4 ways.
I don't get it either, but go ahead.
I learned that when I was living in the South. I know, kill me.
Oh.
Sorry to throw you off, Elliot. What's you got for us? You can use that tomorrow if you'd like. It's all right.
Yeah, it's called OPF, Other People's Funnies, but go.
Yeah,
Sounds like.
Oh, yeah, so anyway. I was watching, not Raw. I didn't watch Raw tonight. I watched SmackDown. No, actually I did. I caught, the beginning of Raw, caught the first hour, and then that was it. And I saw SmackDown this past Friday, and it's obvious they're going to do a program. It's obvious they're about to start pushing guys.
Okay, so you're feeling that SmackDown's got a new direction, a new look. Something's happening on SmackDown.
I was doubting it because it was really, it didn't look as stacked as it should be, because it's SmackDown, it's the secondary show. They should at least have at least one big name, and I don't think they really have a big name.
No,
Crime Time. Crime Time. There's your big name.
That
was a joke.
No offense to Jericho and Edge and Hardy, but they don't have a name. They don't have a John Cena. They don't have a Batista. They don't have those big names. Name. Besides the Undertaker.
Valid point. I would say Edge could be in that category as well.
He could have. He can be, but I don't think so. But I see they're about to start making guys. I see that they're trying to do something with John Morrison after the whole Chris Jericho thing. Hopefully that turns out really good because I'm pulling for John Morrison a lot. I've been pulling for this guy since Eminem. I'm really hoping for it, and I see they're pushing MVP. I don't know where they're going to go with it. I hope they don't push him like they did Kennedy and then drop him.
Kennedy!
He will be back on Raw shortly.
He should be on SmackDown. Don't know why they put him back on Raw.
Because they need some more baby faces on Raw because they're all hurt right now.
Beside the point. I can go on and on about that, but anyway. They're obviously pushing MVP, and I really think that's really cool. I think
even though he lost today, and now he's going to be going to the View tomorrow and hanging out where no wrestling fans watch.
Do you think Barbara Walters will show up tomorrow when MVP's on? Because she's there 2 or 3 times a week. Now, don't look at me that way. I don't watch the show. I just know that Barbara Wawa doesn't show up very often. Elliot, we're running short on time, so we got to cut you off at that point. Thank you for calling in. Let's move on to our next caller, Terry from Waukesha, Wisconsin. You're live on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Gentlemen, good evening. How are you doing this evening?
Good evening.
Just a couple things. Thought Raw was a decent show tonight. Like the ending segment. I do have a couple questions.
Do you remember it from 10 years ago when Daddy got his leg busted?
Oh, yeah. Yep, I do. I do remember that. I don't remember who did it, though.
Oh, it was the putrid. Oops, can't say the rest of that. It was Kane and The Undertaker.
Oh, okay.
You all remember that. It was one of the best heat moments ever when Vince McMahon came out and called Kane and Undertaker the Brothers of Destruction. 2 putrid beep.
Yeah. The one thing I wanted to ask you, what is the angle now with CM Punk? I mean, has he lost the Money in the Bank? Is that because I think if it is, I'm really kind of disappointed in that.
No, he still got it. He said if he would have won, he would have cashed it in right away. If he would have won the match initially, he would have cashed it in on SmackDown last week.
He did win the match, but the match never happened afterwards.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of curious.
Yeah, the match never happened.
Okay, so he still got it.
He still has it.
Okay, all right.
Damien doesn't watch the product. He's just assuming from spoilers.
Okay.
I don't recall finishing my statement, and you prick. You sat there, and I asked you in the pre-show, yes, I'm going to bust you out. I said, did you watch SmackDown? You said no.
I said yes.
You said no.
I said yes.
You said no.
I said yes.
One other question, one other thing. I did watch your episode on your website about Marks.
Okay.
And I do wholeheartedly agree with you guys because I was watching some of the old Bill and Doug stuff, and I was watching some of the feedback I got from them. And I want to say, as being part of the Internet wrestling community, I'm greatly embarrassed by what I saw on that.
Yeah.
And, you know, folks, I'm telling you right now, we're all wrestling fans. It doesn't matter if you're WWE fans, ROH fans, TNA fans,
GLCW fans.
Thanks, Dave.
There we go. Can I just be a GLCW?
Where's my
Mark?
bell? Because I should have just rang the bell. That's a ding.
So,
You know,
I mean, anytime we are wrestling fans, first and foremost.
But, Terry, how dare anybody like anything other than what WWE is putting out there? How dare anybody?
And you want to know something? You know, Damien, you and I have talked, and I've talked with Meathead. I've been a wrestling fan for over 20 years. I've been doing this since I was 16 years old, and I can tell you right now, I've seen them come, I've seen them go. I have shed tears for wrestlers who have died. I have seen all of that. We are wrestling fans first and foremost. And, guys, you need to stop poking on each other and criticizing each other. If you like the WWE, great. If you don't like the WWE, great. If you like ROH or TNA or any of the independents,
Well, what
great.
about if you're a mark for the Backstreet Boys?
I'm not even going to comment on that. I'm not even going to comment on that, man. That's Damien,
Why, are you too?
Damien, if you want to, go right ahead, buddy. Knock yourself out.
All I'm saying is watch PWR Primetime this week and watch what discovery we have about Meathead. That's all I'm saying. PWR Primetime Friday night after SmackDown on Time Warner Cable Channel 14 and Wednesday on demand at pwrshow.com. It'll be a doozy, including Abyss, an interview with Abyss, where I get choked out this week on PWR Primetime.
Oh, how wonderful! But yeah, that's basically what I want to say, guys. I mean, do you still have Bill and Doug, or maybe no? Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
They'll be back soon.
Right. All right, but that's what I wanted to say, guys. Again, great show. I'm glad you guys are out there, and keep up the good work, and have a good night.
Terry, thank you so much for calling in. Let's continue along the PWR phone lines. Remember, you can join us live. The number 276-ESPN here in southeastern Wisconsin, 276-ESPN, and 1-800-990-ESPN all over the world, 1-800-990-ESPN all over the world. And speaking of all over the world, let's go to, I don't know from where, but line one, we've got Gianni.
Well, hey, guys, what's up?
Welcome to the Pro Wrestling
John?
Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. What do you have for us?
I just had two quick things. My first thing was, you know how WWE's gone to PG now, but I didn't think that the end of Raw tonight was really a PG rating. You know, trying to break a guy's ankle and his foot, that's really not a PG thing.
Well, what's the real true definition of PG? I believe it's for 12 and under, right?
I believe so.
I mean, because there's PG-13, you know, and that way it's supposed to be, you know, no younger than 13. So if PG is supposed to be for 12, I don't know. I don't know what PG is, to be quite honest with you.
It's parental guidance.
Parental guidance. Yeah, I know what PG stands for, David Hero, but
well, there's PG-14. Parental guidance is 12, 13.
Parental.
So. But it's up to. I mean,
you guys can't say parental.
No,
you don't
parental.
rate. You don't rate before it airs. You know what I mean? You talk about, or you submit what you're going to present, and you within certain guidelines, and then the rating is given. But you know, I don't know. I mean, it's better than when they were attacking an old man and a woman.
Yeah, that's true. But I think that wrestling is not meant to be. If it's going to be rated, it has to be a TV 14, just because of the perceived violence, the blood, the sexuality. I don't think it's meant for pretty much anybody.
The pig viruses.
Under 12.
Well, Gianni, you had one more thing for us?
Yeah, actually, my second thing was about Lance Cade.
Yeah.
You know, I've met him. I've hung out with him a few times. He's a great guy and everything. I think that WWE made a big mistake of letting him go, just because he could be a huge guy now, like a CM Punk level, if they would have just given him a push. Because he has the character and everything. You know, he was on WrestleMania 20 on the card.
Yeah. No, I thought that he did. I'm sorry, I was distracted there. I thought that Lance Cade was a good talent. Obviously trained by Shawn Michaels, so I think that's why he stayed with the company as much as he did.
But when they find him laying passed out in the hotel lobby, then it's time to go.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's issues.
And when did that happen? About a year ago, right?
Well, it was right. Well,
yeah.
When was he released?
Shortly thereafter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was shortly thereafter. I just can't remember exact dates.
Gianni, thank you so much for calling the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, we still got the VI3 Beat the Meat. We're going to talk about SmackDown. We got Bill and Doug. All that still to come here on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Yeah.
Dragon. Look, and I like the song. I can sing along. You are. I'm not singing along. Listen,
you already did.
You know what? Y'all can sit here and pretend like you didn't listen. No, sit here and pretend like you didn't sit here and listen to the Backstreet Boys when they came on the radio.
Karaoke on 540.
Damien likes it that way.
Let's go to the BWR phone line. See Dragons dancing, Stage bopping his head, Meathead's clapping, and I'm just sitting here being the professional.
You're starting to blush, is what it is. You're thinking about
blush.
What are some of the Backstreet Boys' names? I don't know.
Brian, Luttrell,
See?
AJ, McLean.
See?
Let's go to the phone lines. We got Nathan from California. Nathan, you're here on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hey, you sound excited about the Backstreet Boys, too.
I am not.
Nathan, what do you have for us? From Cali. Whereabouts in Cali are you?
San Francisco.
Big time wrestling out that way, right?
Yeah.
Cow Palace.
Yeah, for sure.
See?
Mm-hmm.
Big fan fest out there coming up next month, right?
Yep.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. I just want to say, hearing from what people said about Raw tonight, it seemed that it wasn't that much. For me, I don't watch the WWE anymore, but barely I watch it. I'm more of a TNA alcoholic, and, I'm very interested in what TNA has done. They've really been stepping it up, and I'm looking forward to Impact this Thursday with the big 10-man tag team match. And, I have only one question to ask. I mean, what has Vince McMahon done to WWE? I mean, now it's this PG-rated something stuff.
He's given TNA an opportunity. That's what he's done.
What opportunity is that?
No, opportunity to take an edge to your product and make an edge to your product, which they've certainly done.
Well,
more power to them.
Well, I feel that TNA is not rated PG-13. It's rated TV-14 or older than that.
As well they should be.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, in my view, I think TNA is the better brand. They have a long way to go, and I'm looking forward to more TNA. Guys like Sting, Kevin Nash, Kurt Angle, Main Event Mafia. I'm a Main Event Mafia guy. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Nathan from Cali, for joining us here on the Pro Wrestling Report. I guess Impact, it does have a huge main event coming up this week. Again, I thought the last couple of weeks' shows were very good. I think the ending of last week's show was not as good as it could have been. It's like Sting took the mask off and then it went off the air. It was like, well, okay.
Why is he wearing a mask?
Right, and why was he wearing a hoodie mask that most teens are wearing nowadays? It was.
You know what's funny is, I think it was about maybe 6 or 7 years ago, maybe longer, Sting was doing an appearance in town. And I asked him, I go, hey, Sting, when are you going back to bleach blonde hair? He's like, if I do that, what I have left is all going to fall out.
Let's go to Bill and Doug Uncut. Bill and Doug Uncut here on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. Bill and Doug, how you guys doing?
Doing pretty good. Appreciate you guys having us on the show, and I just want to apologize to everybody for last week. I know you guys went on Sunday. We kind of got sidetracked and forgot I was going to be on Sunday, so come Monday I was waiting to call in. So
it happens.
But not a lot of WWE talk going on from us. I haven't watched but maybe 5 minutes of WWE programming since April the 5th. So I really haven't been keeping up with the product that much. But as far as TNA goes, Doug and I have been keeping up with the product, and we haven't been reading spoilers for 2 weeks.
Pat on the back.
So, yes.
It's a spoiler-free life, huh?
Yeah, spoiler-free life, and I'm enjoying it. I think it adds a lot to the show, a lot of unpredictability there that you usually have, when you're reading the spoilers. And I know sometimes it gets a little confusing. When you're reading spoilers, they combine, sometimes they do 2 or 3 shows, tape matches for different shows on the same night. It can get a little confusing and a little frustrating when you're reading it. I'm just like, But overall, pretty happy with how Impact has been going, and I really think, like Dixie Carter said best, they're really hitting on all cylinders right now. Especially, one thing that I really enjoyed from this past week is the fact that the Motor City Machine Guns got some mic time, and they really got a chance to go out there, and they are having a problem with Suicide right now, so they're trying to figure out who that is.
How about talking about what everybody knows, that Suicide is Christopher Daniels?
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
I think it's smart, and I think also, if they're going to bring back Kaz to Suicide, I think the Motor City might try to do something where we want to see Christopher Daniels and Christopher Daniels and Suicide in the same ring, and then that way it'll be able to set up Kaz back as Suicide, and then they'll be scratching their head again.
Sure,
so,
and actually, Damon, that plays towards the fact that the the Motor City Machine Guns, like a lot of the older wrestlers allude to, that the Motor City Machine Guns are just the marks in the locker room.
Well, and the only problem with that segment was Don West saying, you never see Suicide and Daniels in the same place at the same time. Well, you never see Suicide anywhere. So it didn't make any sense. But otherwise, it was good. And we talked earlier about the whole microphone thing. He already has a mic. I just wanted to hit him.
Well, what do y'all think about Shelley? Because
Shelley's the man.
Great.
Alex Shelley has stepped up tremendously, especially since joining the Motor City Machine Guns. I have long been a mark for the Motor City Machine Guns. They were on this program, I think it was almost a year ago. Did an interview with them, and just two good guys, punks, but that's fine. It works for them. Who are amazingly talented.
I think Shelley reminds me a lot of like a young Chris Jericho. I think that he really has potential to be, because he just has that charismatic, and he's amazing in the ring. And I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of good things for Shelley. And if you read an interview with Kevin Nash put him over a lot too, saying that he's probably ready right now to step up in the main event scene. So. I don't know. I really liked with Daniels, too. I mean, and there's certain things, just like the little things, like I wanted to hit him with the microphone, and then I liked how Daniels had told him to back up.
Yeah.
Like, it just didn't seem so scripted. Like, in WWE, like, their promos are just so, like, basic, I don't like you because you suck. It's just boring. You know what I'm saying? And I think that you can definitely start to tell a difference between TNA and WWE, even in the promos and everything right now.
Now, Doug, here I got to challenge you. And you said you haven't watched WWE since WrestleMania 25. We were there together.
Yeah.
You didn't see Backlash?
I saw bits and pieces.
Okay.
Nothing I really was diving out for, nothing.
Now, I'm not saying they've done anything dramatic or fantastic over the course of the last couple of weeks, but I think you got to at least take a look at Backlash, because it did some surprising things on that show. Get it where you can without. Well, I can't support that. But
no, I understand what you're saying, Damien. I got you. It's cool. I got you.
But it's certainly worth a watch. Now, as you all know, I was at the TNA Impact tapings just after Backlash, or just before, I don't remember. But and seeing that, and then seeing what they delivered on TV. We were talking just before you guys came on. TNA has obviously stepped up their game, and one example of that is we haven't seen the referee Shane Sewell wrestling anymore. It's stupid stuff like that they've stopped doing. But at the same time, I think WWE is doing a good job of building some new talent, specifically with the draft, specifically what they did on SmackDown last week with CM Punk and John Morrison. I think they realize that the days of the Undertakers and the Shawn Michaels and the Triple H's even are short-lived, and they got to start building these.
From what I hear, like from reports and stuff, Shawn, Undertaker, and Triple H are all out for a little bit, for at least a month. And so if you have that, I mean, they have no other choice. You know what I'm saying? But I personally don't think having CM Punk lose to Kane is a good way of putting CM Punk over.
Yeah,
but I mean, that's my opinion. I think Morrison has a ton of potential. But, one of the things that I want to talk about is the people wanted to know. I read this thing. It's like, why are TNA fans so passionate? And why do people get excited when a WWE wrestler goes to TNA? Because a lot of people feel like that a WWE wrestler is not used to their full potential. And when they come to TNA, it's a whole other ball game. And I think, like we were like, well, man, Shelton Benjamin's awesome, but if Shelton Benjamin went to TNA, holy moly, it'd be totally different. And I think a lot of people feel that way, because Shelton can only go so far because he just doesn't have those mic skills or the character that they wanted,
But can't they say the exact same thing, on the other hand, about guys like maybe, Shannon Moore or Jeff Hardy? I mean, what did he get done
Here's
in
what's
TNA?
missing. And Jim Cornette recently did an interview where he nailed it. He nailed it. Managers, Vladimir Kozlov, Shelton Benjamin, people like that who are good at what they do, who need a mouthpiece. Brock Lesnar would not have been where he was without Paul Heyman.
I agree.
Would not have happened. They need to get back to the core, which is building talent through a mouthpiece, which works. It works. But WWE and even TNA, to a degree, for some reason, don't feel they need that. Whether it's payroll issues, whether it's building the stars to be stars on their own, don't know. But that's what's really missing from professional wrestling right now, in my opinion, because people aren't getting built as fast as they used to get built because we have no emotional buy-in to a lot of them.
Well, look at Abyss and Jim Mitchell. I mean, Jim Mitchell put Abyss over like $1 million.
Right.
I mean, and when he left, Abyss has always seemed like he's lacking something now. So
I
wasn't totally
lacking,
agree.
but he choked me out when I did an interview with him the other day.
Well, one thing I want to kind of touch on, too, Doug was talking about, why TNA has such passionate fans. Well, I mean, for me, when I was standing in line at WrestleMania, not a lot of people were talking about the show. You know, they were talking about other things. You know, when I go to TNA, when we're at a TNA event, man, everybody's talking about the card. They're talking about what they're going to see. You know, I think they have a lot more of a passionate following. You know, and I think these fans, I think TNA is getting more and more casual fans every week, but I think the fans have a strong investment in the product and they appreciate what they see. You know, and I think that, like I said, TNA's hitting on all cylinders right now. You've got the tag team tournament that they've got going on. They brought back, you know, Amazing Rev's. Really good to see him. He looks a lot different.
But, still a lot
you know,
younger. Still looks a lot younger than he actually is, but different. Yeah. Dixie
Absolutely.
Carter made a good point too. TNA's big problem right now is, you know, they're getting 1.7, 1.9 million viewers a week on Impact, and let alone who's going to the website and whatnot, but they struggle to get over 30,000 pay-per-view buys.
Yeah.
There's a huge disconnect there. UFC gets the same ratings. Obviously, UFC has been around a long time, has better following. They do, you know, nearly 500,000 buys a month on their pay-per-view.
They're turning over like 70-80% of the people that watch their shows.
Yep.
And that's the one thing TNA has struggled to do, but hopefully with time, people will get more familiar with the product. I mean, Doug and I still talk to people every day that are like, oh, Kurt Angle's still wrestling? You're like, yeah, Kurt Angle's still wrestling. You know, I think it comes down a little bit to marketing and promotion, too. I mean, how many TNA Impact commercials do you see when when TNA Impact's not on? You know, on Spike
Kevin
TV,
Nash made that point on this very program as well, that, you know, it's just, you don't hear about it. And perhaps instead of hiring a Jenna Maraska, maybe they should be doing some ads on WWE programming. But be that as it may, Bill and Doug, we are out of time for this week. Thank you so much for joining us here on Bill and Doug Uncut. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Abyss, as we talked about earlier, will be on PWR Primetime, Pro Wrestling Report Primetime this week. A big interview that I had with Abyss. This one is one you really want to take a look at. I was telling you earlier, Meathead, it's one of the most enlightening interviews I've had since we did the interview with Jim Cornette and Roddy Piper several years back, two of my faves. And Abyss really had a lot to say actually, about TNA, hardcore, wrestling, his wrestling, Family Guy, of course, his feelings on Booker T, all that coming up this week on PWR Primetime, which can be seen Friday after Smackdown on Time Warner Cable Channel 14, but on demand at PWRshow.com whenever you want. A lot of
Damien, in the chatosphere, you know, in the chatosphere,
your single goal tonight is to tick me off, isn't it?
That's
I'm
my
go
goal
Jeff Jarrett on this.
Every day.
I'll go Jeff Jarrett on you.
That's my goal every day. Damien, what happened last week at the studio? Do you remember? When I put the bullhorn up against your ear and said, Damien, in the bullhorn? It was a shot in the goal.
It's not a gimmick.
No,
but anyways, a lot of buzz about the episode we did last week of PWR Primetime where we talked about wrestling fans and the definition of a mark. It's a conversation we've had many a time before. You know, listen, the people out there, if you don't know that you're a mark, that's problem number one. We readily admit we're marks. Marks for professional wrestling, not sports entertainment, but sports entertainment at times as well.
We have T-shirts that say I'm a mark on them.
If you ask any of the wrestlers nowadays, they'll say, you know, back in the 70s and 80s, the marks were in the seats.
In the seats.
Now they'll say the marks are in the office.
Yeah, and in the locker room.
Oh, yeah, they're everywhere. But, hey, Damon, did you know that Abyss is also a booker, agent?
Oh, I know. I know.
He books his own stuff.
And the problem with that is...
I'm just saying, I'm surprised that they...
So he's the Kevin Sullivan in 2009.
Well, no, I mean, he just books his own...
I respect
his
you,
gimmick,
Booker, man.
Yeah.
I was setting Damien up there.
You know, again, you got to check out that. I learned a lot. Learned a lot about Abyss.
Prince Justice.
The man who plays his character. Is that a former gimmick? I didn't learn that.
When he first came into TNA, he was called Prince Justice. You didn't know that, did you? It was a superhero gimmick. See, now you know.
Want to make sure
and knowing his power.
Go, Joe. Want to make sure you guys check out MilwaukeeWrestling.com. You can find podcasts and episodes of the Pro Wrestling Report on that site. Also, if you haven't done so already, subscribe on iTunes. Take the show with you. Pro Wrestling Report on ESPN Radio is the search term that you need to use to subscribe to the show. And again, as we said, TV this week features Abyss. Wow, what show we've had so far. Dawn Marie, taking us to school
and
earlier.
And the Chatosphere. I almost said Chocosphere.
There are some active people in the chat.
And the Chatosphere says you were a WWE mark this week.
Self-admitted. Oh, this week? Oh, yay! I'm a WWE mark again?
This week, Damien is a WWE mark.
Wow, it's taken me weeks to get back to that. I guess I got to bash WWE now.
And begin.
Let's go to the phone lines. You can join us on those phone lines at 276-ESPN or 1-800-990-ESPN. Let's go to Austin from California, San Francisco, California.
Yeah, let's call him again. Great show, guys. Great show. Had a couple questions. I was watching The Wrestler over the weekend, and I noticed R-Truth was, he was featured prominently on the movie.
Yes.
And everything, and I don't know. I don't understand why didn't the WWE try to, plug in R-Truth in the whole Chris Jericho, Mickey Rourke match, and also why didn't Ring of Honor try to promote The Wrestler as well? Because basically Mickey Rourke was doing his final match against the Ayatollah was at Ring of Honor. You can see it everywhere, all the signage everywhere.
Good points, especially on R-Truth. Let me first touch on the Ring of Honor thing. They did, when the movie was being filmed, they did certainly advertise that it was part of the filming of the movie. The movie didn't get praised until it was released, though.
And Vince hated the movie when it first came out.
And the movie really didn't get the praise until Mickey Rourke was getting a lot of recognition as far as acting.
And R-Truth was not an E employee at the time, so I doubt they would recognize that he was even in the movie since it wasn't something they did. It was when he was between TNA and WWE. So, but that does make a lot of sense because anybody who saw the movie, and I don't know how many wrestling fans actually went and saw the movie because I think all they do is go see John Cena films. WWE fans, rather. Hey, 12 Rounds was a good movie in my opinion. Hey, remember, I'm a WWE mark this week.
But who would pay for Chris Jericho versus R-Truth?
But still, he could have done something, But anyway, my other question is about Miz. I love his promos today. I just think he has a lot of potential.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought that the Red Rooster 2003 would have become somebody who we're talking about regularly in wrestling, that being The Miz?
Yeah, and The Miz, the guy that JBL would trash for the entire 5 to 10 minutes that he was on the screen, even though he was supposed to be a heel commentator, The Miz actually...
The moment he stopped saying hoorah, he became valid.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Austin from San Francisco. Let's continue on the phone lines to go to Anthony from Helmar. Anthony, you're live on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Hey there, guys.
Hey, what's up, Anthony?
I want to talk about the marks in wrestling. I'm a mark just of wrestling, not mark of TNA, WWE. I just like seeing wrestling. If it's good, I watch it.
Okay.
Like you guys probably are, most likely are.
Oh, we're definite marks. That's why we made the T-shirts. We're admitted marks. Now, do you know what the real true definition of mark is? And this isn't just for wrestling. What a real mark is?
No.
Okay. Well, Dave will be happy to tell you.
Well, okay, fine.
No. It's someone who believes everything they see.
No. A mark really is, it's somebody that just buys into it. They used to use the term in carnies, where they, had a carnival worker would mark the hand.
It's a nice way of calling somebody a sucker is what it is.
Gullible or...
Yeah, exactly.
And I also agree with you about managers. I do agree that managers are lacking right now. It would be a good, strong point to have them because, one, we don't have to hear Vladimir Kozlov talk.
I think part of that is it's a personal campaign because I want to be a manager. I think I'd be good at it. I've been honing my talents over
especially
the last
because JR won't leave the business, so that's Damien's spot apparently.
Well, I think here's something that it has. I'm gonna have some Ring of Honor news. One of the managers of ROH ever had, one of the best, Larry Sweeney was on.
He's on what?
Larry Sweeney.
Yeah.
He's gone. It was one of the best managers the wrestling ever had.
Yep, that happened a couple of weeks ago. Anthony, thank you so much for calling in. We've got a couple more things we got to fit into the next 16 minutes here on the show. As time escapes us, time flies when you're having fun, they say. And we're going to go in depth now and talk about Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley, obviously now affiliated with TNA Wrestling. However, we don't know if he's actually signed a contract with TNA Wrestling, and we saw how that has done so well for them with the likes of Randy Savage and Rikishi, who had appeared but also were not contracted. But Bobby Lashley still wrestling or still performing in the mixed martial arts field, now working with TNA as well. As you know, he was a former ECW champion in World Wrestling Entertainment and was in WWE for about 3 years. Obviously, his biggest moment was at WrestleMania 23 when he was involved with the Vince McMahon, Donald Trump haircutting angle. He was released, quote-unquote, from WWE in February of 2008. So, Bobby Lashley, we have had so much He quit. Yes,
he quit because of Crystal. Yeah, because of the treatment. Crystal.
He denies that. But...
Well, he also quit because of the whole Michael Hayes issue. Also.
Correct, with Mark Henry.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Damien, how do you feel about that?
Great. We spoke about that when it happened.
Yeah, I didn't mean to throw you off or anything.
No, that did absolutely throw me off because I had forgotten about that. But we did speak about that at length when it happens, and some people.
But I also believe that TNA did sign Bobby Lashley to a contract because you don't bring in someone like that.
Make a TNA video already. He has an entrance video already too.
Mm-hmm.
Don't understand it with all the revving motors, and I don't get that, but okay.
I don't either.
But we talked a lot about Bobby Lashley. We called him Black Lesnar. We thought he was overpushed in WWE when he first came in. His talents are there. I mean, he can wrestle. He can perform.
He's an amateur champion.
But I think it was too close. I mean, he came in. He left 2005, came in 2002-ish. I think it was too close to Brock Lesnar, and it was like they were trying to make another Brock Lesnar. And I don't think that was the way they should have gone with it. But after Brock's departure, I think Bobby Lashley became a lot more viable, and I think the fans truly liked Bobby Lashley, and his choice to leave WWE has now become TNA's benefit.
Well, they tried to like him, but, I mean, Lesnar was pushed on us. When Lesnar was the ECW champion, he was on Raw more than he was on ECW.
Yeah, but how could you not be impressed with Brock Lesnar? I mean, he wasn't like
Did I say Lesnar or Lashley? I apologize.
Lesnar.
I meant Lashley. When Lashley was ECW champ, he was on Raw more than he was on ECW. I apologize.
The problem with Lashley is his promos were terrible.
Absolutely.
He needed someone to talk for him.
Yeah.
Horrible. He's got the dubious distinction of headlining the least bought pay-per-view in history, I think, of the company. December to December, or December to remember, December to not going to happen anymore.
December to forget.
Yeah, but that was ECW, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no one buys those.
Just when he left WWE, I was starting to become more interested in the character of Bobby Lashley. But when he was gone, I can't say I missed him.
Well, no.
But I think, David, and you were talking about this earlier, I think this is a huge acquisition for TNA.
I think it's bigger than Kurt Angle. I think it's bigger than
Mick Foley. No, nothing's bigger than Kurt Angle, in my opinion.
No, really, because now they finally have a babyface that can beat the top heels.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always been my biggest gripe about TNA is, you look at guys like AJ Styles and Daniels and even Samoa Joe. I don't see them ever really beating guys like Kevin Nash or Scott Steiner.
But let me ask you this, Dave. Was Kurt Angle ever a face when he came in at TNA?
When he first came
in? Yeah,
absolutely.
No, when he first came in, he went right for Joe.
No, he was a face. He was a baby face when he first came in. But I think Bobby Lashley has a look. He's marketable. I just think that they can, if they wanted to, they could put TNA on the back of Bobby Lashley and ride that for quite a while.
I think so, too. And Lashley has a look. He has the amateur skills. But, oh, man, they got to let somebody else talk for him. He's terrible. He's, as Greg Gagne would say, the
somethings.
Yeah, the drizzle. The drizzle. I got it.
But I agree, Dave. I mean, I think this, again, we've long said, and again, I'm a WWE mark this week according to the Chatmosphere, so I don't want to
Chatosphere.
But I've long said that TNA is held to a huge standard when they make these acquisitions. Kurt Angle, Booker T, Sting, the Dudleys. All these people coming in, people are like, they're still getting a 1.2, 1.5, whatever. That hasn't worked. It's steps. And I think this step of Bobby Lashley coming in might be the top of the ladder for TNA and what they need to do to get themselves more of an audience and to get themselves more pay-per-view buys and to get themselves more recognizable talent, because that's why the Main Event Mafia works so well. They've got all their top talent, top recognizable talent in one faction, one group. People flipping by are going to say, I know all these people. Yeah. What is this? What are they doing there? Happen to see a match between Suicide and Chris Sabin and say, wow, this is good. That's the draw. It's like when Best Buy has a sale. They might have two items of the item that they have a great price on. They want to get you in the store. TNA needs to get you on the watching their product, and most people, a lot of people, will stay behind.
I would pay for a Kurt Angle Bobby Lashley match.
A ticket to the show,
amateur wrestlers,
either one.
Great wrestlers.
You're right.
One. They can put on a clinic, perhaps.
And it'd be a great match. It wouldn't all be about all like the Hurricane Ranas and that kind of stuff. It would be a good physical wrestling match.
Very interesting points. You can share yours with us at pwrshow.com. Send an email to comments at pwrshow.com. A couple of people talking in the Chatmosphere. It doesn't seem to be much
Chatosphere.
for Bobby
Lesnar.
Lashley in the Chatmosphere. But anyways, let's continue and talk about WWE Smackdown from this past Friday night. Lots of buzz about the show, saying, quite frankly, a thread started on the forum at pwrshow.com that says SmackDown is going to be great this next year. This originally posted by a user named Vash, V-A-S-H. After watching this week's episode, and I'm quoting, it's become clear that SmackDown is going to rock for the next 12 months. I was so upset at it that Raw was getting Triple H alongside Batista and Cena already there that I forgot SmackDown was becoming a show with the most of the smart favorites. Jericho and John Morrison feud. Hope we get to see this soon. Umenga possibly main eventing again. Thank you, Lord. Edge versus Jeff for the title at Judgment Day. Is this a dream? Now compare that to Raw. Show versus Cena and Orton, whom I like if you can't tell, versus Batista. Orton can't work well with Batista, Triple H, or Show. He can do decent with Cena because Cena mainly gets beat up for most of the match and then hawks up and wins, but I digress. I really think SmackDown is going to become better than Raw if this week's episode is any indication. Now, I will say, watching SmackDown this past Friday, which I did today, they opened hot. Jericho, obviously, addition to the product. CM Punk, very entertaining as well. Edge, as good as he's been. It was a good open. It was a solid open. And I thought to myself, I'm like, if I take away the blue and add red, I could be watching Raw.
Yeah, but
you rarely get to say that with SmackDown.
You know, they talk about how, now you're going to get CM Punk and now you're going to get John Morrison and you're going to get this push. What happened to Johnny Nitro's push when he was going for the Intercontinental belt along with Jeff Hardy and Shelton Benjamin? They had that push, a couple of years ago, right before WrestleMania, where those guys would alternate, having matches. Carlito was in that mix, too. What happened to that push? It just kind of went...
One Man Dynasty says, again, in the PWR forum, reference the SmackDown conversation, and I quote, "It was a very good SmackDown, but Raw still has the better roster. Edge, Taker, Jericho are the three main eventers on SmackDown, and whatever they are in is great. But are they going to develop new main eventers? Morrison as a face could work. Umaga should be a main event heel. Punk, Ray, Jeff will be interesting to see what they do with those. It was a very good SmackDown, like I said. Don't get carried away and say it's going to be better than Raw just yet."
You know what I find interesting is I read that Vinnie Mac now must have a show on a Wednesday night.
He said that in the shareholders meeting, which is available online. I watched it. I do own shares.
Okay. Do you want to talk a little bit about Superstars? I mean, because he has that Thursday show, a lot of the thought is he has a Thursday show to take away some TNA viewership. If
anything, it helps TNA.
Yeah. If they're going to do, because it's a lead-in. I mean, technically, unless there's a baseball game or a basketball game or whatever, preempting the show, Superstars is on at 7 p.m. Central, while, TNA is on 8 p.m. Central.
Now, if TNA is smart, they buy advertisement on Superstars.
Do a blitz for a month during Superstars only.
Mm-hmm.
Only. Mm-hmm. And drag all those viewers over to Spike TV.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they can, because there are rumors that WWE has some influence on the advertisers that advertise on their program.
Well, they have an exclusive deal with WGN.
Nationally.
Yeah, they have an exclusive
deal.
Locally
could be the trick.
Yeah, they have an exclusive deal with WGN for this particular show. Superstars airs only on WGN. Now, I think Superstars is an ass show. I don't like it. I think there's nothing exciting.
On Saturday mornings also.
Yeah.
I enjoy the show. I think it does exactly what it needs to do.
I think there's nothing exciting to see on that show.
But it's not supposed to be a headline show.
And it's not designed for you.
Right.
It's designed for the kids.
Yep. I think it's good. It's more special than a lot of the stuff they do because you still have your three distinctly different brands.
No, they are not. But go ahead.
On that program, there are clearly three distinctly different brands because you've got they're advertised as one ECW match, one Raw match, and one SmackDown match. And it's presented that way, which is different from what they do when they do go through the brand thing. Now, keep in mind, they've made a commitment this time at least to really follow the draft. And I think we're seeing that happen over the course of this past Friday's SmackDown and this Monday's Raw.
Even though you've seen Santino on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm. But they explained it away and said that this was signed before the draft.
Uh-huh. They'll keep explaining it away until April when the next draft happens.
But it doesn't matter. I mean, if they're smart, I've made this comment before, if they're smart, use the talent everywhere. Use your talent that's going to make you money wherever you can use them. But back to Superstars, I think the show does what it needs to do, which is supplement the two main shows and ECW for WWE. It just gives them more exposure out there. It doesn't hurt. They're going to push more pay-per-views. They're going to push more house show events. They're going to push more of the brand, and it's not going to take them much. What are they recording? 1 or 2 or 3 extra matches a week? I think it's a very smart move.
I agree. It's just another way of marketing. I mean, they're getting people now,
You're right.
in the Chicago area, which they consider GN their own station.
Yeah. Sure.
It's just,
GN is its own. I thought it was owned by the Tribune Company.
And here's the thing. I was going through the channels on Saturday morning, and there were Superstars again. How many?
Does it remind you of when you were a kid, Dave? Remember on Channel 18 Saturday morning? It was 3 hours of wrestling.
There was tons of it. So it's like, okay, they've accomplished their goal because now they get their show on twice. You cannot find a replay of Raw.
Wrong.
Where do you find a Raw replay?
532.
Only on HD.
Okay, that way. And then the same with SmackDown.
Wrong. It follows. It goes Raw, SmackDown, and
in Milwaukee.
ECW.
Generally, it's not available. I mean,
okay, maybe nationally, but I mean, I do watch those. They are there. Universal, by the way, the NBC station is the one that carries it.
I think SmackDown's got some potential. Back to the original conversation. This past week's show was a good show. They did some things that they needed to do on that show. We do have Edge versus Jeff Hardy going into Judgment Day in about 2 weeks. And obviously SmackDown, you saw the ads coming to Milwaukee. That's about all we'll say about that in June. Beat the Meat. Meathead, last week's question. Let's repeat it, and then we'll talk about the answer and the winner.
Okay. You ready for it?
Ready.
I was waiting for my given.
For the drop.
I was waiting for my given. Who was the Ringmaster's opponent at WrestleMania 12?
That was my first WrestleMania.
And we made it easy.
We did get an answer from Ahmed Butt.
Sorry.
Ahmed Butt, and the answer is Savio Vega. So, Ahmed, sent the first email in with the correct answer. Congratulations, you won Beat the Meat. And now you guys have a chance to participate and be a part of it. All you got to do is send an email to comments@pwrshow.com. Again, that's comments@pwrshow.com. Answer the question, and we'll go ahead and announce it next week right here on PWR Radio. Meathead, what's our question for this week on Beat the Meat?
Well, how about this? The third episode of Raw in 1993 featured an epic retirement match between what two WWE legends?
Which Raw?
The third episode of Raw in 1993 featured an epic retirement match between what two WWE legends?
And it actually resulted in a retirement.
Doesn't mean that it stuck, but...
Well, a departure from WWE, rather.
Sure.
It wasn't a loser leave, or was it a retirement match?
I think it was a retirement match.
An epic retirement match between what two WWE legends?
It was actually surprising. Now, that wasn't the same one Heenan got fired on, was it?
I don't think
When Monsoon threw him out?
It's on PWRshow.com, though. I do watch that in the truck.
Classic Heenan. Tripping over the bag that he clearly put his foot into just to trip over it.
Once again, the question. The third episode of Raw in 1993 featured an epic retirement match between what two WWE legends? Damien, where can they send the answer?
Comments at PWRshow.com, at the website, obviously, PWRshow.com. This week in history, sad news as we talk about Playboy Buddy Rose passing away. This marks the anniversary of the week that, the day Miss Elizabeth passed away in 2003. Also, this week in history, WWF becomes WWE. They got the F out in 2002.
Remember when they trimmed the hedges to get the F out?
Let's go to the VI3, ladies and gentlemen. Each week we pick the top 3 talents in the business. 1 singles, 1 female, and 1 tag team, and we start with the man they call Meathead.
My single will have to be AJ Styles. Again, still a big mark for him. He's phenomenal. Ding. Where's my bell? Interns need to get my bell in front of my...
Harley?
Yeah.
We have interns?
Harley. We have interns, yeah.
Harley's our last one left,
yeah. Because Damien fired the rest. My tag team will go out to Crime Time. They got the girls out shaking their booty on SmackDown, which I saw. And my female wrestler, I saw her tonight.
It's like a rap video.
Introduced by Jared from Subway, Mickey James.
Jared. I'll go with Randy Orton as my single superstar.
The Viper.
Tag team, let's go with Priceless.
Priceless.
They got to get a push somehow, and then I will go
with... your broad.
And then I'll go with Santina Marella.
Ooh.
No, you didn't. You didn't do it. No, you didn't do it. The definitive BI3. The one all of you tuned in to listen to tonight. I'm going to go with you, Dave Hero, as well. Randy Orton, the Viper, my number 1. I say the Viper because in case you didn't notice, that's what they're pushing him as now. But the tag team spot goes to the Motor City Machine Guns. And number 3, again, I think I did this last week as well, but it's Angelina Love. who returned to the ring with some TNA house shows this past weekend. My Pie Sexy. That's all I got to say. Abyss. PWR Prime Time this week. Make sure you tune in Wednesday on demand at PWRshow.com. We want to thank Dawn Marie for joining us, and remember to have you check out WrestlerRescue.com. WrestlersRescue.com. There's a link at the PWR Show site as well.
.org.
And, yes, .org. Thank you so much. And thank you for tuning in to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.